Right guys, it's time for another video, because I'm currently reaching almost level 80 on the Druid Oracle, and there is quite a lot I would like to talk about. I would also like to showcase my current build. I will show you a few of my gems I'm using. I will show you which supports you should prefer to use with them and a few other things. The purpose of this video is to share my knowledge which I obtained so you could be better prepared for your adventure. First things first, my build. Right now I'm running Wolf build. Yes, I think it's very versatile, I think it's very fun, and I think a lot of you guys should honestly try it. I already explained in my last video what is the basic idea of the build, but there are a few changes I made from yesterday. For example, I started using Herald of Ice with some support gems that increase elemental damage. Basically, I'm shattering the enemies, I'm chain freezing the enemies, so I can kill them easily. Then, I started experimenting a little bit with Walking Calamity, but I feel it's not perfect yet. I need a better gear, I need better supports to enable its full potential. Also, the Cross Slash is very strong as well, but before using the skill, it's better to mark the enemy so you can fully utilize its potential. I would like to add few bonus notes. I would like to talk about the drop rates of skill gems and support gems in endgame. I was very surprised when I started mapping. I found out that there are no drops at all. I'm not even kidding. The map needs to be very juiced up, and maybe even in the temple itself to see a one single gem drop. So in the end game, the potential to change your builds or make them stronger is a little bit weaker than during the leveling phase. I find the tablet themselves very well balanced. I like the idea, clicking on the node, choosing the correct map, and just add more modifiers with these tablets. I still haven't unlocked the ability to put regal orbs to the tablets so I can make them yellow. Let's talk about passive skill trees. Roughly, this is my skill tree. I'm playing Oracle. There is still many nodes to invest in, but I haven't done my trials for a long time. In the skill tree, I chose nodes like increase damage with hits against shield enemies, increase cold damage, armor applies to elemental damage, and increase melee damage against heavy stunned enemies. You get the idea. I wanna freeze and stun the enemy and kill it as fast as possible. I don't like the effect of chill on me, so the chill proof passive node is very good. It reduces effect of chill on me. It is especially handy when you are fighting those enemies that has bubbles around their bodies which slows your attacks and make them very hard to kill. As an Oracle, you can see the special nodes on your passive skill tree. For example, this one gives me a chance when I'm using a slam skills that they will do aftershocks. In total, I have 25% more chance. There is one very specific node I found, and I'm not really sure if I understand it correctly. It's called a dimensional weak spot. According to the description, I might have 50% chance to treat enemy monster elemental resistances values as inverted. Does it mean if the boss have 75 resistance in total, sometimes it has only 57? If this is the case, it might be a good node. But I really would like to know more what is hidden behind the description. I would like to showcase my equipment a little bit as well. The main weapon is Talisman, and I think I found a pretty good one. This one has a lot of cold damage as well as increased physical damage. But the main stat I really appreciate is 22% increase attack speed. I believe you can even have 25%. In the case of the fight itself, this makes a lot of difference if you have the attack speed or not. You attack quite fast, and that means you kill quite fast. Zephyring gives you ability to shatter the enemy, but the enemy doesn't need to be frozen. It can be only chilled. Overall, I'm stacking armor, so my body armor has 1200 armor right now. But the main thing in the armor you should be looking for is armor applies to elemental damage modifier. This is incredibly strong. You can have it on the boots, you can have it on the chest, you can have it on the helm. So there is still a huge potential to improve my damage. I have found quite interesting ring. Look at this one. It has added cold damage to attacks, physical damage as well, and even a lightning. I am not 100% sure if this is really good, but it helps a bit. Right now I have 67 armor. You can also check bonuses to your elemental damage when you hover over the armor stat. And these are my resistances. I know there's still a lot more that can be improved. For example, you can find very useful nodes in your passive skill tree. There are also ways to increase your maximum elemental resistances, but this is topic for another day. My boots also have reduced shield duration on me, which helps me to kill enemies faster. Okay, now let's break down every support gem I'm using right now on every single skill gem. The first attack is called Shred. This is your main damage dealer when it comes to the boss fights. The idea is first to freeze the boss, if possible, and then start shredding. So you need a huge attack speed boost. That's why I put 25% increase support gem inside. Then there is a finisher with this combo. So the next support makes your finisher strike twice in succession, which is very strong. Mainly because your finisher creates the special spikes on the ground that explodes and do even more damage. And then I modified the final strike with a break armor possibility. The fourth support gem is just a raw damage boost, which gives me 30% more attack damage to enemies that are 1 meter away from me. Second skill is used to freeze the whole rooms of enemies around. It converts 80% physical damage to cold damage, and the magnitude of chilling is really high. I support it with even more freeze build-up, then I like to use ancestrally boosted support skills. I bet you try it as well, it's really worth it. Attacks gain 30% of damage as cold damage for 6 seconds on freezing an enemy with support skill. So you are freezing constantly and you are constantly having more damage with the skill. The last support, I'm not sure yet, but I'm trying to utilize a rage, so I choose to gain 3 rage on melee hit. Pounce skill is basically a leap. You leap to enemy, you mark it, and the mark will create a walls that are fighting alongside with you. The most important support skill is Overabundance. It basically says you have +1 to limit. In other words, you will create 2 walls instead of just 1. The next supports are only just your preference. The next skill is called Arctic Howl. It's basically a war cry, even though it's not a war cry, but it looks like a war cry. The main reason you want to use this skill is when you want to freeze the enemy and then apply more damage to your attacks, so you can use it defensively as well as offensively. When you use it on the enemies that are primed for freeze, they will be frozen. So the first support gem is must have. When you freeze, they will stay frozen for a longer duration. You can increase the area of effect, you can add some cold damage, and the Ice Bite is very good because you will do even more damage with your attacks after you freeze the enemy, especially for the boss fights. Ferocious Slam, there is not much to talk about, it's just very well-rounded skill. It creates a lot of stun build-up and it can have a huge AoE. In my opinion, the chance to cause additional aftershock is really mandatory. Have I mentioned ancestrally boosted attacks are really busted? Try to add this support here and you will see a big difference. Increase area of effect is no brain, and then just spending rage to get more damage, why not? Ferocious Roar is basically another warcry spell. You transform into the bear and shout. The shout will give you rage. The more enemy you shout at, the more rage you gain. I really like to create exposure on hit when I use the shout. Basically gives me a 4-second window to burst the enemy down, increase area of effects, and gain even more rage. Let's talk about the cross slash. This spell is something different. When I engage the enemy with a gem, I immediately use a cross slash. That will trigger the mark that was created by the gem, or the pounce if you wanna name it correctly. The damage is really significant. It's hard to tell if the slam is better or the cross slash is better. When there is a lot of enemies on my screen, I use the Lunar Blessing. I use it as well when I have a lot of wolves and there is a boss that needs to be killed very quickly. First support gem triggers Living Lightning on dealing lightning damage with supported skill. Second, support will enable my attacks to main on hit, and I really like the increased area of effects. I don't want to talk about Walking Calamity because I think it still needs a lot of work and a better equipment. The last skill gem is Herald of Ice. It will basically create the explosions and cold damage and help you clear the area. Well, so it's really good to have a 25% more elemental attack damage. So this skill also trigger ice fragments on killing frozen enemies, which happens constantly. So thank you, YouTube, to share my thoughts. Thank you, GGG, for this awesome patch. I really like it. And thank you all who are watching. All the usual stuff, like, subscribe, always appreciate it. Until the next one.